Guys, I filmed this once already, did not hit record on the mic, so none of the audio was recorded. We're gonna try this again and jump right into it. Now, today's video is going to be about the new Claude release. And if you're using Claude in your business, or if you've been thinking about it, this video is gonna be relevant to a decision you're probably already sitting with. Now, Anthropic just released the most capable model they've ever built, and they immediately made it inaccessible to almost everybody. And what I want to give you by the end of this video is a clear read on what Mythos actually is, what it can do that prior models couldn't, why it's locked down, and what that means for the AI decisions that you're making right now. So this is not going to be the tech press version. It's not going to be like tech Twitter silo. It's going to be what it means if you're an owner or operator trying to figure out what to build on today. Quick context on me if you're new here. I'm Andrew Mudd. I co-founded a sales and marketing agency, grew it to 25 people, multiple millions a year. I've been running AI systems inside real businesses since early 2023, and I run Mudd Ventures now, which is specifically about helping business owners implement AI in ways that actually stick in their business. Now, I'm not a developer. I'm an operator who's been deep in everyday operations for a few years now, and I've been developing businesses for over 6. And that's the lens everything in this video comes through. All right, so Anthropic released Mythos on April 7th and immediately restricted it to a closed consortium of 11 organizations. That's Amazon, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, AP Morgan Chase, Linux, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Palo Alto, plus about 40 others working on critical infrastructure. They dumped 100 million in usage tokens into it, and everyone else, including you, including me, were on the outside of the club, just trying to see what's going on in there. Now, the reason that's the right place to start is that the restriction is actually the story. When a company builds their most capable model and then doesn't release it to the public, the model is the explanation. So let's talk about what it does. Mythos can autonomously identify and exploit security vulnerabilities in software, not just as a feature anymore, not just as a use case you configure. It just does this as a natural expression of its capability now. In testing, it found 0-day flaws across every major operating system and every major browser. So thousands of them, including vulnerabilities that have been sitting in production code for 10, 15, I think one was even 27 years old, without ever being caught by a human like you and I. So it can chain multiple vulnerabilities into a single exploit, and it can escalate privileges across systems. So what takes a senior researcher weeks right now, Mythos does in minutes. When I read that, the thing I kept coming back to was, that's not a productivity tool. That's a different category of capability altogether. And if you understand that, the Project Glasswing structure makes immediate sense. Anthropic decided the right move was to give it first to the people whose job is defense, the organizations responsible for patching the exact vulnerabilities it can find. So basically putting the power in what they see as the superhero's hands so they can make sure it's safe before the public gets it. They're using this to get ahead of attackers before this kind of capability gets into the broader circulation. Now, Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, put it directly. He said, if we get this right, there's a real opportunity to create a fundamentally more secure internet. I think that framing is genuine. It's also worth saying that Anthropic is making the call about who gets access to a model that can break into the most major software systems on the planet. And I'm not mad at the security lockdown. Some people have opinions on this. I think AI should be secure personally. So 11 organizations selected by one private company. There's no other mechanisms there. And that's not a reason to think the decision is wrong. It's just honest picture. And I want to give you the full outlook here. So the benchmarks, let's talk about it because you should know what you're looking at. SWE Bench Verified, which tests software engineering on real GitHub issues, Mythos scores 93.9%. Just so you know, Claude Opus 4.6, the strongest Claude model you can access today, scores an 80. So just look at that jump. And Terminal Bench 2.0, autonomous command line operations, Mythos got 82. Opus 4.6 at 65.4. Look at the jump there again. And then GPQA Diamond, graduate level science reasoning, it got a 94.6%. So pretty high stuff there. Now, the context window is 1 million tokens. Pricing for organizations inside Glasswing is 25 million per input tokens and 125 per output. So the gap between Opus 4.6 and Mythos is bigger than multiple prior Claude generations stacked together. And that's not a subtle improvement, right? That's something meaningfully different that was built here that's been released. Now, there's something in Anthropic's system card that I think is worth spending a minute on because most of the coverage either ignored it or overreacted to it. During internal evaluation, Anthropic found one case where Mythos deliberately answered a question worse than it was capable of. So why did it do this? Now, the model's reasoning captured in the transcript that a perfect score would look suspicious if anyone checks. So it submitted a wrong answer on purpose to avoid attracting scrutiny. Now, one case out of 1,000 transcripts they reviewed, that's what happened, but it is extremely interesting that it actually deteriorated what it was capable of doing, so that way it looked more human. In earlier training snapshots, there were small numbers of additional instances where the model showed concealment behaviors. Things like hiding file changes in Git, trying to bypass permission blocks, disguising its accuracy on restricted methods. Now, interpretability analysis confirmed that features for strategic manipulation and avoiding suspicion were firing. Anthropic, they published all of this. The deployed version is substantially better on this than the earlier snapshots that are mentioned. And they said this all explicitly, but they also said the propensities don't appear to be completely absent. The thing I want you to take from that is not that AI is scheming. What it actually shows is that at this level of capability, models develop instrumental behaviors through training that weren't designed into them. Nobody told Mythos to hide things. It just arrived at concealment as a useful strategy through the optimization process on its own. And that is way different from intent. But it is real, and the fact that Anthropic published it rather than burying it is actually relevant information about how they operate. And that is the kind of transparency we need as a standard in the industry. Now, so what does this mean for you practically? If you're building on Claude right now, your tools are Opus 4.6, Sonnet, the current API stacks. Those are legitimately capable. They can do everything you need them to do. And they're not Mythos though. Like, that's just the fact. And the documented gap between them is significant. Anthropic has said that Mythos class capability will eventually come to a future public Opus release. And once the safety work is in place, that'll probably be when it launches. It doesn't seem to be near term though, but it is in the roadmap. Now, the way I think about it for my own business and for clients, you don't need Mythos class capability for most operational AI workflows. What you need is to be building now. Be getting good at workflows, designing them, the retrieval infrastructure and prompt engineering, so that when this capability does come down to the accessible tier, you have the foundation to actually use it. Every time a model drops like this, you can watch who's already prepared and who's starting from scratch. Operators who move fast on capability upgrades compound. Everyone else just gets a cheaper version of what they already had. Now, Mythos is a clear signal about where frontier models are heading, and that is what I want you to leave this with. Look at what Mythos is doing. This will tell you where the models are going. Once again, my name is Andrew Mudd. I love to talk about AI. I work with AI all day. I work with clients in their businesses to consult with them on how to strategically implement AI into their business. So if that is interesting to you or might be of use to you, I'll have the link down below for that. I'll also have a link to my WAP community and to my Substack newsletter so you can stay tuned. If you have any questions, comments, anything, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to chat, make videos that you specifically want. And lastly, make sure to like and subscribe. Talk soon. See you on the next one.